Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on simplifying waste management regulation in India. My name is Nikita Visht, and I will be your moderator for this session. I hope I am audible and screen is visible to all. Now let's move on to our agenda for today's webinar. We'll kick off by providing an overview of waste management law and regulation in India. Next, we'll guide you through the extended producer responsibility objectives, requirements, and how they impact different stakeholders. Moving on, we will discuss the post-compliance activities required of EPR holders to maintain their authorization and ensure ongoing compliance. We'll delve into what activities are required to maintain compliance. Post that, we will understand the role and scope of Vincula's work, how it ties into the EPR framework, and the support it provides to companies navigating these regulations. Recycling is at the heart of waste management. We'll take a close look at the recycling framework with a deep dive into battery recycling. We'll have a Q&A session to address any queries you may have, so please keep your question ready. Towards the end of this webinar, we will explore services under Vincular umbrella. Before introducing our speaker for today's webinar, I would like to take a moment to emphasize on waste management in India. India generates approximately 62 million tons of waste annually. This figure includes various types of waste such as municipal solid waste, plastic waste, electronic waste, and hazardous waste. India has undergone significant revolution due to the increasing challenges posed by rapid urbanization, industrialization, and economic growth. These developments has led to increased municipal solid waste generation per capita, necessitating the creation of more effective waste management system. Significant step taken by the Indian government to address the growing concern over waste management. The government intervention aim to establish a more sustainable and efficient waste management system that can handle the increasing waste generation, protect public health, and preserve the environment. The Central Pollution Control Board plays a critical role in regulating waste management in India, including the management of electronic, plastic, and battery waste. The waste management tool aims to not only control the generation of waste but also to improve the collection, recycling, and proper disposal processes. Today, we are here to understand in-depth waste management regulation in India. Now, let me introduce the speakers. We are honored to have with us Mr. Krishna Singh, who joined us from Betex Energies. He is Assistant Vice President, result-driven and achievement-oriented professional with an experience of 15 plus years in planning and leading operations involving small to medium-sized manufacturing environments in different sectors like steel, PAB, water filters, PNB, and many more. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Krishna Singh. Next, we have Mr. Karan Negi. He is subject matter expert in Vincuro and have deep knowledge and understanding on the waste regulations. He has emerged as a trusted partner for numerous renowned brands, assisting them in navigating the complexities of compliance effortlessly. Welcome, Karan. We will now open the floor for any questions you might have. Please post them in Q&A section. Please feel free to ask questions that comes to your mind regarding today's topic. I will now give the stage to Mr. Karan, who will guide us through the complexities of India's waste management regulation in today's session.
Thank you, Nikita, for the warm welcome and a very good afternoon to all of you. So today in this webinar, we'll be covering different waste management regulation that are regulated in India. My topics would be the understanding the EPR framework in India, the overview of different waste management regulations, what are the products covered which require the registration, and who are the entities that are covered under the EPR framework, marking and labeling guidelines, and the most important, the post-compliant obligation for the EPR holders. Next slide, please. Now, EPR framework. As Nikita mentioned, the waste has been a major problem. So how can we address this waste? The entities or the brand owner places product in the market. In eventually, this product comes to end of the life and create pollution, or you may say might be hazardous to the environment. So this issue can be addressed to the EPR framework. The ministry has introduced EPR for different waste management regulation in India. The product that comes to end of the life requires recycling, or they should be collect back from the market, that it should be environmentally safe and sound management of the product. As the term says, EPR is the extended producer responsibility. So it is the responsibility of any producer for the environmentally safe and sound management of the product that they places in the market. The producer need to collect back the product from the market and get it recycled after the end of their life. The EPR can be fulfilled through the purchase of recycling certificate from a registered recycler. Next slide, please. So coming to waste management regulation, that for which the EPR or the EPM framework is in place currently in India. So they are e-waste management regulation, plastic waste management regulation, battery waste management regulation, and tar waste management regulation. For these four ways in India, currently the EPR framework has been mandated. So any entity who places electronic, plastic, battery, or tire in the Indian market need to register with Center Pollution Control Board. In today's webinar, we will be covering the regulation on e-waste, plastic waste, and battery waste. For tire waste, we will cover a separate webinar in the coming months. Next slide, please. Coming to e-waste rules in India. Starting from e-waste rules came into effect in 2016, where the EPR was mandated for any entity who introduced any notified electronic item in the Indian market. Later in the year 2022, Ministry introduced new e-waste management rules 2022, which superseded the earlier rule. In the 2016 rules, there were only 21 electronic items was notified for which the registration was mandatory. Later, when the rules 2022 were introduced, it notified more than 100 in electronic items for which the registration was became mandatory for any entity who places those notified items in the Indian market. So any producer, whether it is a manufacturer, importer, dealer, who places notified electronic data in the Indian market, need to register with Central Pollution Control Board and have to have the responsibility for the safe and sound management of the product after the end of their life. Next slide, please. Plastic waste management rules. The plastic waste management rules were introduced by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in the year 2016. However, there were no EPR framework in the year 2016. They were the responsibility for urban local bodies, producer, importer, brand owner, and also to CDSCO. But the mandatory requirement of recycling or the obligations of recycling was not there. Later in the year 2022, the ministry introduced an amendment to Plastic Waste Management Act 2016, which introduced the framework of EPR. So any entity who places any plastic packaging or product with plastic packaging have to comply with the plastic waste management rules and need to register with Center Pollution Control Board. Next slide, please. Battery waste management rules. So these rules were introduced in the year 2001, where lead acid batteries were regulated. At that time, any entity who places lead acid battery have to mandatorily register with the Center Pollution Control Board and have the obligation of recycling. Later in the year 2022, the ministry introduced Battery Waste Management Rules 2022, which superseded the earlier rules. In the new rules, all types of battery, regardless of the shape, size, chemistry of use, were regulated. Whether it is a lithium-ion battery, nickel-cadmium battery, or lead-acid battery. Any entity that import or places any kind of battery in the Indian market have to register with Center Pollution Control Board prior to any import or placing those battery. Next slide, please. Now we go into the product for which the mandatory registration under the different regulations are covered. First, coming to e-waste management rules. In the e-waste management rules, there are broad categories that is defined by the ministry. The categories are IT equipments, for example, the servers, telephones, laptop, computers, consumer electrical goods, for example, television, washing machines, large and small electrical equipment, large refrigerators that are used for large industrial purpose, electric and electronic tools, drill machines, toys, the sports equipment, and also the medical devices like MRI machines, X-ray machines, all last laboratory equipment. Combining all these category, a total of 134 electronic items are notified in the e-waste management rules 2022, for which mandatory registration is required by any entity who places this notified item in the Indian market. Next slide, please. Plastic waste management rules. In the plastic waste management rules, the plastic packaging is covered. The point to be noted here is only the plastic packaging is covered in the plastic waste management rules, not the enclosure of the product that is made up of plastic. The category defined under plastic waste management rules are category 1, rigid plastic packaging like plastic water bottles or cosmetic enclosure. Category 2 is flexible plastic packaging, any packaging that is made up of plastic of multiple layer. Category 3 is multi-layered plastic packaging. In the multi-layered plastic packaging, one layer could be of plastic and other layer could be different of plastic. For example, tea bags, lays or kurkure packaging. Category 4 is compostable plastic packaging. Any plastic that is made up of compostable plastic is compostable plastic packaging and is regulated under the rules. Later, in the recent amendment to the plastic waste management rules, a new category, that is category 5, biodegradable plastic packaging, is introduced. Any entity who places biodegradable plastic packaging, that is any plastic packaging that is made up of biodegradable plastic, is also regulated under the plastic waste management rule. Next slide, please. Now, batteries covered in the regulation. As I earlier mentioned, any batteries, whether it is small or large, regardless of its shape, size, chemistry, or use, every type of battery is covered in the regulation, even a button cell or a large industrial battery. A broad categorization to this battery has been defined by the regulator. First, automotive battery, the battery that is used for the ignition purpose of any vehicle. Then portable battery, that is usually less than 5 kilograms. Electric vehicle battery, the battery used in the EV vehicles for the transaction or heavy purpose. The category 4 is industrial battery. Any battery that is designed for the industrial purpose may exclude portable and other batteries. Next slide, please. Now the entities who need to register with Center Pollution Control Board. They're the entities like manufacturer, importer that need to register. and also the refurbisher, recycler, or other entities. But in the today's session, we will be covering any entities who have the obligations for completing a recycle target, and the CPCB introduced the target for the completion or for the safe and sound management of the product. So the entities who have the liability to register and obtain implement EPR targets under the e-waste management rules are producer. Under the category of producer, there are different entities like manufacturer who offer to sell the product or the notified electronic item under their own brand. Then there are entities who do not manufacture the items by themselves. They manufacture through a third party but places those products under their own brand name. Also, the importer who import any notified electronic item of any brand then places the product are also covered in the regulation. So these are the entity. Basically, any entity who places the notified electronic item in the Indian market need to register with Central Pollution Control Board. Next slide, please. The obligated under entities under plastic waste management rules are brand owner, importer, and producer. So these are the entities who need to register with Central Pollution Control Board for the safe and sound management of the plastic packaging that they introduce in the market. A brand owner could be any entity who places the product under their own brand or trademark. Importer is any entity who import the plastic packaging or the product with plastic packaging. Last is the producer. Producer here in the plastic waste definition, producer is any entity who manufacture plastic packaging. Not to confuse with any entity who manufacture the product such as laptop, computer. Only the entity who manufacture plastic packaging is regulated under the plastic waste management regulation. A key point here is if any entity falls under more than two categories, they need to register separately under those categories. For example, if any entity is a brand owner as well as importer, they need to register separately for brand owner as well as importer. Next slide, please. EPR applicability under battery waste regulation. For battery waste regulation, the entity or any entity who places the battery or import the batteries in the Indian market have to register. The term for the registration here is producer. Under the producer definition, there comes any manufacturer who manufacture the battery and places those battery under their own brand name, and also any entity who get those battery manufactured by other manufacturer then places the battery under their own brand name, and the importer who import any battery or equipment containing batteries. So any entity who import battery and also any equipment that contains battery are regulated under the battery waste regulation. Next slide, please. Once an entity holds a EPR certificate or is registered with Central Pollution Control Board, they need to comply with different regulations, like they need to maintain certain marking and labeling guidelines on their product. For electronic waste, there is a mandatory requirement for ROHS, that is reduction of hazardous substance, and other labeling requirement. For the notified electronic item in the e-waste management rules, there should be a maximum concentration of the harmful element like lead, mercury, hexavalent chromium, polybrominated biphenyl, and polybrominated diphenyl ether. That should be under the maximum concentration of 0.1%. They should not go beyond this limit. And for cadmium, the maximum concentration that is defined is 0.01%. Also, the producer need to mark a cross-out wheel bill symbol on the product or the packaging of the product if the product is too small. Next slide, please. Labeling requirements under plastic waste regulation. Any entity who places the plastic packaging or the product with plastic packaging has to mandatory follow the labeling guidelines under PWM rules. For the plastic packaging, the name of the EPR holder and the certificate registration certificate number that is been provided by Center Pollution Control Board need to be mentioned on the plastic packaging. For in case of flexible plastic packaging, they also need to mention the thickness. In the PWM regulation, the minimum thickness requirement is been defined. For plastic sheets, it is minimum 50 microns, and for carry bags, it is minimum 120 microns that need to be maintained for any entity who places those plastic in the market. If any entity is placing carry bags in the inner market that could be recycled, they should be marked with a recycle mark symbol as shown in the picture. Also, for carry bags that are made up of compostable plastic should be labeled as compostable. Next slide, please. The labeling requirements under battery-based regulations are as follows. Any entity who places the batteries or any equipment that contains battery, the battery should be marked with a cross-out wheel bin symbol. Second, if the battery contains the harmful elements such as mercury, cadmium, or lead, the battery should be marked with the respective chemical symbol. Also, with the recent amendment to the regulation, the battery should also be marked with the EPR certification number that is defined by Center Pollution Control Board. Our timeline has been defined by the Center Pollution Control Board, that is 1st of June 2025. So before 1st of June, they need to comply with the regulation of EPR number on their battery. Next slide, please. Now here are the post-compliance obligations for different waste management regulations. Any entity who holds a EPR certificate or is registered with Center Pollution Control Board need to follow certain obligations or fulfill the activities after a regular interval of time. For plastic waste, entity needs to file the real-time transaction details, which is the procurement of sales details, from where they are procuring those plastic packaging or the product with plastic packaging, and then to whom they are selling those plastic packaging. Complete details need to be fulfilled or need to be granted to the regulator. Then they also need to file the annual return. The most important part is target completion. A certain target basis on the sales data is being defined by the Center Pollution Control Board. They need to fulfill those EPR targets to the registered recycler only. Also, there is a minimum level of recycling, which means any entity who is completing the EPR target should have a minimum level of recycling, and then other than the recycling, there comes end of life EPR credits. As we discussed in the previous slide, they also need to maintain certain marking guidelines on the plastic packaging. Similarly, for e-waste and battery waste, the entity needs to fulfill the quarterly returns, file the sales data, and have to complete the target, which is common for all the three. The target completion part or the channelization of the waste through collect back the product, whether it is electronic waste, battery waste, is the important part, and then these should be channelized to the registered recycler only. That's all from my side. One more slide, sorry. Can we please move to the next slide? It comes with the Winkler scope of work. We at Winkler analyze the product and define to a suitable category. As we mentioned, in the e-waste management rules, there are different categories under which the e-waste or the product are being categorized. We analyze the product, then we categorize the product into a suitable category for which the registration is required. We help with the end-to-end coordination until the grant of the certificate, initially from the documentation part and to the filing with the Center Pollution Control. As mentioned, the post-compliance activity, whether it is EPR target completion part, annual return filing, is the most important to comply with the regulation or to continue their certification. We at Vincula remind continuously to our customers to follow the EPR liability parts and complete the post-compliance activities. We also help them to file the returns with the EPR target completion from the registered recycler, the renewal, and help in with the new regulations updates. In the electronic waste management, the awareness event or conducting the awareness event is the most important part. Any entity who places the electronic item in the Indian market should conduct awareness event for the general consumer about the harmful effect of the e-waste and how this can be disposed of in an environmentally safe and sound manner. So we, on behalf of our customer, conduct awareness activity. That activities report can be utilized by our EPR holder. We also help with the recycling part from a registered recycler that is registered from a SPCB or Center Pollution Control Board. Also, there are many challenges in the regulation that we face time to time. We at Vincula help representing the case with the CPCB for the proper guidance or for the from the Center Pollution Control Board or the ministry if required. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much. Now I hand over the stage to Nikita.
Thank you, Karan, for providing valuable insight on each of the agenda topics today. Your expertise has been instrumental in deepening our understanding of waste management regulation of India. We truly appreciate your contribution to our webinar. I understand that EPR is a policy approach that shifts the responsibility of post consumer waste management from municipalities to producer. It is not only ensure better waste management but also encourage producers to design environmentally friendly products. Now I would like to invite Mr. Krishna Singh to share his experience and enlighten us on the recycling framework. One more thing, audience, due to the technical issues, we are not able to see his video, but we could hear him very well. Sir, you can continue.
Thank you, Nikita, and welcome to everyone. So, starting with the waste management regulations, which Karan already explained very well. So, just to continue on that, what are the major challenges we are facing in terms of the recycling of the battery waste management? So, I will be more focused on the lithium-ion battery related waste management system. So we will be covering the what are the education level or the awareness level of the subject, what are the policies and regulations available in the market as of now, what are the different techniques and the technology we already using, and what are the challenges and new developments in that. And not last but not the least, the what are the behavioral changes we would like to have in the future to have a good waste management system overall. Next slide, please. So I am representing Batex Energies here. So we are in the battery recycling business. So we are purely in the lithium-ion battery recycling. There are other batteries categories also like lead acid and other batteries. So we are not dealing in that, but we are mainly focused on the lithium-ion batteries. Please, next, please. So when we are saying waste, actually this is not the waste. This is the wealth which is lying around us, and we are not recognizing it properly. And that is the reason we called it as a waste instead of the wealth. So I hope after this presentation, you people will be aware why we are saying this. So please, next. So before going on the technical part, I just want to highlight some important facts. As you most of the people are aware that mining is a very tedious job, and during mining, lots of workers are playing a major role over there. though the technology is improved over a period of time, but still there are many mining areas where we are still using the labor child and other challenges. So we want to mitigate and minimize the mining load by recycling the lithium ion batteries, which is very effective method of reducing the overall mining load as well as reutilizing the critical minerals over the earth. So the idea of showing this picture and the slide is only that to correlate you that what are the major challenges and what is the impact of circular economy or the sustainable practices if we follow them rigorously. Please, next slide. So these are 5 key challenges we see in terms of the lithium-ion battery waste management. First is the lack of education and the awareness. So today, I don't think that all the layman people can identify what kind of the battery it is, what is the purpose of that battery, and how it is impacting the environment, and how we can protect it, the environment by proper collection, proper reutilization, repurposing, or you can say the storage of that. So we want to build a culture where we can have a good system to educate the people on the particular lithium-ion battery awareness system. Second is the reserves. So if we talk specifically about India, so we are lacking for the critical materials which are used for the lithium-ion battery manufacturing, that is lithium, cobalt, nickel. So we are not having the sufficient reserves in India. So we are dependent on the other countries, especially if we talk. So China is the leading player in all these 3 segments. So it's very important for us to have a or the preserve these critical materials inside the country. Third is the recycling infrastructure. So though we are talking about a lot about the recycling, but until and unless we do not have a sufficient infrastructure to support the ecosystem, then I think the overall agenda can't be met. Fourth is the innovation and the technology. So since we are not very used to recycle the lithium ion batteries in the past, so we do not have much technology available with us. So we are developing those technologies, and the technologies which are already available in the market are very you can say not eco-friendly. So in that, only hydrometallurgy is one of the process which is showing some good results. So we will talk about all the available technology in the market in the coming slides. Policies and regulations. So I think one my colleague already covered this portion where we are talking lots of about the government is infusing different policies and regulations, and we are trying to implement them in a good way so that we can control the waste in a good way. Next slide, please. So why the battery recircularity is important? So if you see on an average, we in India 40 to 50,000 of lithium ion waste is generated every year. So this is a huge amount which is covering the land as well as polluting the environment. That is the biggest challenge we have. Second, the toxic materials inside that battery. So there are some toxic gases also there when it comes with oxygen or something, then it fires and some incident happens, and because of that lot of toxic materials or gases are released inside the environment. Third, as I already explained, the extensive mining. So we have to minimize the load of the mining if we want to improve our environment and the reserves in the future. Last is the interdependence. So we are working on the Made in India concept where our PM also emphasized on that. And the reason I already explained that we do not have that much of reserves in India. So we have to be very cautious while utilizing these minerals in all the segments. So these are the major reasons where we see the battery circularity is very, very important. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the circular economy, so I just want to give you an idea how it can be done. So we are following this method. So first stage is the raw material as we are talking. So the raw material can be from the mining, from the recycled material or some other sources also. So after that we recycle it. So to recycle it, we need to have a process, and for that we need to do the collection of these batteries or the material, the virgin material also. So the collection is the first part. After that, we do the sorting and segregation of the batteries which we are getting from the waste. So in that, there are some batteries which are in good conditions and we can reutilize them for second applications or some other small applications. So that is the reason we do the segregation and the separation process. And the batteries which are end of the life, those batteries are going for the recycling of the material. And after recycling, we again recovering all the metals outside from these batteries with the help of hydrometallurgy or pyrometallurgy or the direct recycling methodologies. And after this refining, it again go back to the ecosystem, that is the cell manufacturing uh, process. Yeah, next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. Yeah. So as we are talking, so these are the major minerals we are utilizing in any lithium ion cell manufacturing. So cobalt, nickel, manganese, and lithium are the major contributors, or you can say the cathode materials which are used in lithium ion batteries. So the circularity of this is very, very important. And the good thing is that we can reutilize these materials a number of times, because the recovery of these materials is very good. We can achieve up to 95 to 98% of recovery of the used batteries. So that is a very good point. So you can reutilize this material many times and we can reduce the mining load a lot. Next, next please. So if we see the overall market, in the coming years, so by 2030 we can see 2.5K gigawatt hours per year is the requirement in terms of the electrical vehicles. If we talk about that, including the stationary and passenger vehicles and all, and we will be having 128 millions of electric vehicles on road by 2030. So you can imagine what will be the percentage of the waste coming in the market, and it will be very, very difficult situation if we do not take the right step today to mitigate this problem. Otherwise, lots of electronic waste or the lithium ion batteries will be lying in the land, and we will not be able to control that situation. So that is the reason we are emphasizing more on the recycling capabilities, and we are targeting to have a good infrastructure on the recycling part. Next, please. So as of now, in the market, we are using these four types of methods or the technologies. First is the direct recycling, where we try to dismantle the batteries and infuse the some CO2 or other components in the camp part and try to reget the material in terms of the you can say the PCAM, that is a precursor material. Second is the pyrometallurgy process, where we normally heat the material at a certain temperature, you can say 1000 or 2000 degrees Celsius, where we make the material in such a way that all the impurities get burnt, and then we can recover the required materials from. But the problem with these technologies are that in this the emission levels are very high, and again we will be polluting the environment. So the overall the purpose of recycling, somehow it's mm, not covering the agenda because of high emission and high energy intensity process. The third one is the hydrometallurgy process. So this process is showing the good results overall, where we are mechanically separating the batteries first, and we convert those batteries in a mixture powder that is called as a black mass. And from there we extract all these metals in the different forms, in the salt form, in the metal forms. uh, so this is a promising technology which is evolving around the world. And now we are also focusing on the biotechnology also. Some research papers are showing a good results that we can even use the biotechnology. The biotechnology more or less similar to the hydrometallurgy process. Only some leaching part will be with the help of the bio integrates rather than the acid and all. So these are the four main technologies we are using as of now in the market for the lithium ion batteries. Yeah. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah. So if we talk specifically about the BATEX, then we are using our own process where we talk about the hub and spoke model. So it's nothing but we are putting different plants for the black mass production at the pan India level. And from there, we are collecting that black mass to refine those black mass at the central plant. So that is the reason we called is the hub and spoke model. So in first step, we collect all kind of the batteries, as I explained earlier, from all the electronic waste or the e-rickshaw, e-car, and whatever the application using the lithium ion battery, we collect those batteries from the market. In the second step, we again segregate those batteries where, as I said, we are segregating based on different parameters and the conditions, whether they can be utilized for the second applications or something. And based on that, the segregation is done. Then when sorting and dismantling is everything is done, then we are very sure that what percentage of battery going in the recycling and remaining are going for the repurposing. And from the recycled material, we are recovering all the metals, as I explained earlier. So this is the overall process. Next, please. Yeah. So as I said, from the battery scrap, you can see we are making the black mass with the help of the mechanical processing. And from there, we are today we are exporting this black mass. The reason is that, as I said, in India, we do not have the refining capacity as of now. And that is the reason we are dependent on the external countries to process this black mass. And this is the reason we are developing our own technologies, the refining technologies, so that this can be avoided and we can keep this material inside the India itself. So in the coming time, government might be uh, putting ban to export the black mass to reserve these metals. In the second stage, as I said, the metal extraction, where we are recovering all the purely high grade lithium, nickel, cobalt, and manganese metals, as well as in the form of the salts also. So it depends on the requirement of the customer, what exactly they are looking. So based on that, we can optimize the process. And again, these are can be used in the battery manufacturing. But unfortunately, today again we do not have the any cell manufacturing facility in India. Government has already announced some PLI schemes where we some of the players are putting their plants, giga plants. So hopefully it will be operational soon. So we will be utilizing all these metals inside the India itself. So we will not need to export those metals again. So this is the overall process of the recycling for any lithium ion batteries. Next, please. Yeah, next, please. Yeah, so why we are doing the recycling? So what is the purpose of that? So if you see, it's very clear. Uh, we are here talking about the BATEX process. So the figures are relevant to the BATEX process. So it may vary depending upon the different companies' uh, technical process and the parameters. So if you see, it's very promising that CO2 emission is can be saved by the 54% compared to the direct mining of the materials. So it's showing a very huge impact on that. Similarly, if we are repurposing a battery, then we can save up to 97% of CO2 emission per kilowatt hour. So again, it's very huge impact on the environment, and these are the reasons where because of that the recycling is very essential and promising in terms of the lithium ion battery circularity. Third, in same manner, we can use the water, so we can save 90%, 97% of water compared to the direct mining. So this is the reason we are always emphasize on the recycling of the batteries. Next, please. So this is one of the example I just want to share with you that how the recycled or repurposed batteries can be used. So we built a 6 kilowatt hour, 20 kilowatt hour solar panel with the EV batteries. So these EV batteries were from the one of the OEM's car, and then we converted this battery in the solar system. So here the overall circularity shows it's very clear that we are using the sun light for the solar purpose, and we are charging this with the solar energy. And again, these batteries are this second life batteries. So we are not putting the new batteries in the bank, and again we are charging these vehicles with these batteries. So the overall life can be extended by different methods, by reusing, by recycling, by repurposing. So the idea is that if we can extend the life of a battery from say 1 or 2 years more, then we directly or indirectly uh, saving the CO2 emission, the mining load, and the critical metals. So this is the reason we always promote the recycling of the lithium ion batteries. Please, next, please. So thank you for listening us, and I sincerely request everyone to think about this and dispose your batteries in a proper way through the authorized recyclers, so that we can utilize these batteries in a good way, as well as we can protect environment and can have a sustainable and circular economy systems in the country. Thank you.
Our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Krishna Singh for his enlightening and comprehensive presentation on the recycling framework and challenges. I want to express our sincere appreciation for sharing your valuable time, experience, and knowledge with us. Thank you for a remarkable session. Well, we know that you all have been waiting for this. We have received some interesting question from the audience. Let's jump on to the Q&A session without any further delay. First question is, what are the challenges in lithium-ion battery recycling in India and why there are less number of lithium-ion battery recycler registered till now? I would request Mr. Krishna Singh to address this.
Yeah, thank you, Nikita. So as I explained during the presentation, so major challenges are the you can say the technology part, where the country is evolving different technologies. Second point, I would like to say that the awareness about the overall lithium ion waste management. So these are two major things. And the third one is the mining reason, where we can see the recycling is playing a good role. So as of now, might be the progress is slow, but in the future we are seeing lots of recycler are coming on the board to promote the recycling facilities, and it's a good thing. And we will be pretty sure that by next year the quantum of the recycler will be almost double to cover this particular requirement. Second, government is also playing a good role in that, and they are framing some policies as well as promoting PLI schemes for recyclers also in the coming time. So that will help us, and I think this will overall minimize the overall concerns which we are seeing just now. The recycling capacity is less. So, but I think as of now, depending upon the availability of the material, the current setup can accommodate the overall requirement.
Thank you, sir, for addressing the question. Now, the second question I would request Karan to address. The question is, what is end of life credits? Can PRVOs use EOD credits to fulfill the EPR liability?
Thank you, Nikita. So in the plastic waste framework, there are two types of EPR credits that the PIBOs can use to fulfill their target completion requirement. One is recycling credits, and the second one is end of life, that is EOL credits. So for those plastics which cannot be recycled, will be sent for end of life purpose, such as road construction, waste to energy, or waste to oil generation. So for all this plastic, where the recycling is not possible and could be used for road construction, waste to energy, waste to oil, these are called end of life credits. So PIBO can use both recycling credits or the end of life credits to fulfill their EPR target obligation. However, from the next year, that is for 24-25, there is a minimum requirement for the recycling, like in category second in the year 24-25, minimum 30% of the obligation should be fulfilled from the recycling credit parts, and the rest 70% can be fulfilled through EOL credit. Then similarly, it will gradually, the recycling credit part will gradually increase from time to time, like 40%, 50%, 60. So yes, the PIBO can use both the credits to fulfill their obligation. However, there is minimum limit that is being set by the Center Pollution Control. Thank you.
Thank you, Karan. And now that we had an insightful discussion on waste regulation and recycling framework, let's shift gear. I would like to take a moment to highlight why choosing Vincula for waste management services and other regulatory compliant needs is the right choice for your business. At Vincula, we provide a single window to cater all of your compliance requirements, from waste management to a range of other regulatory needs. We got you covered. We streamline process for quicker product launches, giving you a competitive edge. We understand the importance of cost effectiveness. With Vincula, you can expect reduced costs for conformity without compromising on quality. Our nationwide presence ensures smooth compliance coordination. Uh, we uphold righteous and professional work practices, ensuring the highest standard of service delivery. We maintain high standard with a customer-centric approach, benefit from insight of ex-government officials in our panel. As an active member of industry organization, we keep you ahead of industry trends. Our commitment to excellence and customer satisfaction is evident in our business metrics. Let's go through them. Next slide, please. With over 30,000 projects successfully completed till financial years 2023-24, Vincular has established a solid track record of delivering results. We take pride in our 700 plus happy customer who has entrusted us with their compliance need and experience that the difference on services we make. At Vincular, we have a team of over 65 experts at your service, each bringing their unique skills and expertise to the table to ensure your compliance journey is smooth and seamless. The next slide provides an overview of the services we offer under our umbrella. Please take a moment to view them. That concludes our webinar on simplifying waste management regulation in India. We hope you found this session insightful and valuable. Please stay connected with us for future webinars and events. Recording and presentation material will be emailed to you. I hope you are satisfied with our response in the chat box. In case any questions has been missed, please do not worry, it will be addressed via email. Also, don't forget to explore our blogs, newsletters, publications for valuable insight. The links has been shared with you in the chat box. Have a great day and thank you for joining us today.